Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Curtis Crow, and I'm making this video just to talk a little bit about what I would call creative fatigue. This is kind of to go along with a blog post that I just recently wrote on the creativeascent.com, which is my blog. You should go check that out. In this video, I just wanted to kind of share from the heart what I've been experiencing for the past couple of weeks. So to give you some context, the past couple of weeks have been great, but at the same time very stressful. And here's why. I've been working on a ton of client work. Like I have a ton of projects that I'm working on, which is a good thing. But being a one-man band, it's also a bad thing. It becomes extremely stressful. To add on top of that stress, my wife and I just purchased a home, and we spent the past couple of weeks painting and redoing all the flooring. Now, it's great that we finally got this home that we'd been trying to buy for a few months, but now it's reality, and we have a ton of work to do before we can move in. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, we are moved in. But when you combine moving and getting your home ready to move into with a ton of client work, it becomes a pretty stressful couple of weeks. And out of that, I've started to get what I consider creative fatigue. And that term might be used for something else, or it may not even be the right term, but that's what I've been kind of calling it myself. And basically what that is I feel like no matter what I make creatively, it sucks. It's honestly not a fun thing to experience. It's actually very, very hard on my psyche. I've spent the past couple of weeks thinking that everything I do is just terrible, and then feeling guilty because I charge clients for this work. So I'm like, how could I charge them for something that sucks? And I don't know, it's just a weird, honestly, like a weird trick that I feel like my mind is playing on me. It's really intensified during this certain season of my life because we have a ton going on in my personal life, and then I'm getting a ton of client work. But this isn't something that's completely foreign to me, and probably isn't foreign to you as a creator. And here's what I mean by that. I was recently talking to a friend who's in the creative industry, and when I explained to him what was kind of going through my head the past couple of weeks, he jokingly said, welcome to being a creative. And I asked him what that meant, and really it's something that I never knew other creatives experience because I don't really communicate with a ton of other creatives. I'm pretty isolated in this world. I'm from a small market, and so there's not a ton of creatives around. And even if I connect with creatives online, I don't get into super deep conversations. But what he meant was, people who are creating constantly eventually hit this point where they feel worthless, or they feel like whatever they make is just not good. And it's something that is pretty common. And honestly, I never knew about it, but I'm not surprised because I experienced this quite a bit. Now, like I mentioned, it's heightened because of the stress of my personal life and the stress of, having a ton of client work. It's heightened during this particular season in my life, but I've experienced it before on a much smaller scale. What will happen is I'll be working on a video, I'll be spending a couple weeks on a video. By the time I'm almost ready to submit the first draft, I completely hate everything about the video. I hate the way it looks. I feel like I didn't shoot well. I feel like I didn't get the content I needed in an interview or something. I just hate it. I feel like my videos suck. It's a common thing. It happens from time to time. And so even though during this time it's really heightened because of everything going on, there are still some practical things that I do to help kind of eliminate creative fatigue and get past it, because ultimately it's just kind of a mindset that you have to reset sometimes. So the first practical piece of advice that I would give to you if you're feeling creative fatigue in whatever industry it may be is to not let perfect get in the way of done. And what I mean by that is creatives especially, but anybody who has any type of ability is probably striving for perfection in their particular field. And honestly, that's pretty dangerous because you can't reach perfection. Actually, obtaining a perfect video is impossible. And something I have to constantly remind myself is just because it isn't perfect doesn't mean it isn't great. Because I try so hard to make it perfect that if it doesn't reach that level, which it never will, I feel like it's just awful and it sucks. There's no in between, when in reality there definitely is an in between. It's just a mindset that I have. So as someone who does a lot of client work, what I would recommend is to complete your first draft. Like, get through it, look past what you would consider imperfections, look past it, and send that first draft to a client. Sending that first draft to a client does a couple things. one, it's just a huge relief to finally hit export and upload something. And two, I often find that the client loves the video and it's not actually as bad as what I think it is. And honestly, having client work is good because when I have deadlines, things I have to meet, I have to just send the video. And then I ultimately learn that, oh yeah, the video it's actually really good. This actually happened recently with a video where I thought it was awful and I was terrified to send it to the client, and they absolutely loved it. And then after not looking at it for a day and letting them take a look at it, yeah, they pointed out some things here and there that they wanted changed, but ultimately I looked at it and I was like, wow, this actually isn't bad. It became one of my favorite videos that I made this year. So just the act of sending that out and kind of getting it out of the way was really helpful to me. And then you're also gonna have clients who will come back and say, hey, here's a couple things here and there, and it's things that you didn't notice because you're so fatigued by watching the same video over and over. And that it definitely helps. So again, don't let perfection get in the way of done. Just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean it can't be great. Now, by sending a video off to a client, you get a chance to do what I think is the next most important thing, and that is taking a break. Now, this might sound silly, but actually taking a break, like a physical break from the work, is something that I found to be very valuable. This could be a 10 to 15 minute break, it could be a couple hours, or it could be an entire day. It just totally depends on how you're feeling, but I've definitely found it helpful to actually step away from a project, step away from an edit, give my brain a break, an actual break from it, do other things, do nothing, whatever, just take a break from it and come back later. And I often find that I had just been watching it over and over and over, and just literally my mind has become fatigued of that edit. And after taking a break from it, I come back and find that, okay, this is actually a decent edit. I got a lot to work with here. Here's some adjustments. I kind of refresh, reset my mind. That always helps. And honestly, that piece of advice is as simple as that. Just take a break. You know, go take a walk, do something, get some fresh air, get some sunlight, take an entire day, work on some other projects that you may have. Even taking a break from one edit to work on another edit is good for the brain, because as you know, if you're in video production or you're in photography or graphic design or some other creative field, you're often working and working and working and making tiny little micro adjustments on things because you're striving for that perfect product. And what you're doing is just really taxing on your brain. So just take a break, give your brain some time to reset. Honestly, I'm making this video right now kind of in response to everything that's been going on. I mean, there were a couple of days this week where I'm not going to use the word depressed because it's a super serious thing, and I wasn't depressed at all, but I'm a genuinely happy person, and I was as down as I've probably ever been, and it was just a whole just dumb mindset. And honestly, it's just creative fatigue. Like, I had just been working so hard, going from working with clients to working on personal things and back and forth, and sometimes even working on the flooring at the new house and then getting an email from a client and pulling my laptop out in the kitchen of our new house and making some adjustments and sending them off. And I just wore myself out. I give myself a goal of putting out 2 videos a week. Well, this week is just going to be this one video, just a ton going on. Honestly, I needed to make this video. I kind of needed this as an outlet. None of this may make sense, I don't know, but I did write a short blog post about it too, which might be a little bit more coherent. You can go check that out as well, and subscribe to the blog because I try to send out weekly content there as well. These videos sometimes coincide with the blog, but yeah, I mean, 2 big pieces of advice: just don't let perfect get in the way of actually finishing things, and take a break when you need it. It will be good for your brain. And if you're someone who's constantly creating, you're probably going to run into this. It happens. Try to be self-aware and know what's going on, because there for a while I was a little worried about myself. I was like, why am I so upset all the time? Why do I feel like I'm terrible? There was a point where I literally felt like I was going to lose all my clients. They were just going to randomly email me and be like, hey, yeah, we're out, we're done. And in reality, I had a meeting with a client this week and they're lining up a bunch of new work. And so your mind just plays tricks on you. Creative fatigue is no joke. So take care of yourself. I will see you in the next video, hopefully soon, after I get all this house stuff done and we get moved in. But I have some cool video ideas lined up, and I appreciate anyone who's out there watching these videos. I really do. These videos are mainly for myself. They're fun to make, but I appreciate anyone who might be out there watching them. Until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video.